welcome everyone. I'm glad that you're here. My name is Maritza Hernandez. I'm the Associate Dean for Enrollment Services and Enrollment, for Student Services and Enrollment, sorry. My role at HDS is primarily to make sure that the folks in my team have the resources they need to do their work effectively and provide the services that you all make use of. It includes admissions, financial aid, student life, religious and spiritual life, career services, and disability services. I've been at Harvard for 16 years, 7 of those here at the Divinity School. Prior to that, I was at the Kennedy School of Government in various roles. So I've been here a long time, and so if you have questions about Harvard in general, I think I can be of help. I won't take much longer. I don't want to take too much time because I think you are all here to hear from our wonderful students, which are our wonderful resource, and the reason why the 3 of us and those of us in the staff and faculty, why we enjoy working here, being in this community. It's our students. So I want to leave enough time for them to share their experiences and their time here at HDS. I will go ahead and read their bios because they're really interesting, and I think you'll appreciate them. And then I will start with my colleagues, Tim Whelsky, who's the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs, and Kerry Maloney, our Director of Religious and Spiritual Life. They will take a few minutes to talk about their respective areas and the types of resources that they provide for our students. And then we will start with the student panel. So at the end of the table is Willie Bodrick II. He is a second-year MDiv candidate, and he's on the ordination track in the Christian tradition. Willie also finds interest in political activism, community organizing, and social entrepreneurship. Willie is originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and a 2010 graduate of Georgetown University. He is currently the young adult and college minister at the historic 12th Baptist Church, as well as the founder, president, and CEO of Bold Mold, Inc., Black Men Overly Leveraging Development, a nonprofit organization that redirects the stereotypical image and statistical trajectory of the Black male youth by harnessing their growth with nurturing sustainable networks that will both uplift, embrace, to end the systemic outcomes that Black men fall prey to. Next to Willie is Shelley Brown. Shelley is a native of Chicago, is currently a second-year student in the MDiv program. Prior to HDS, Shelley received a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Stanford University, and recently in 2011 completed her master's and PhD in biomedical engineering from the University of Michigan. Her doctoral work focused on the use of human embryonic stem cells for bone tissue engineering strategies. And due to the ethical and religious debate surrounding stem cells, Shelley was challenged to determine the religious implications of her research. As a result, while in her doctoral program, Shelley accepted Christ as the head of her life and became a licensed minister in the Baptist tradition in 2010. Within the MDiv program, she currently works at the intersection of the academic study of science and religion, probing pressing religious and bioethical issues surrounding science policy while pursuing biomedical research within the stem cell and tissue engineering community, all of which are opportunities afforded to Shelley through her academic training at Harvard Divinity School. Next to Shelley is Nhu Huynh. Nhu Huynh is from Silver Spring, Maryland. She is currently in her final year of the MTS program. Her concentration is Christian theology, particularly with the use of feminist, post-colonial, post-structural lenses. She is also interested in how Catholic theology intersects with and can respond to marginalized narratives, especially the experiences of women of color, immigrants, and individuals with disabilities. Before coming to HDS, she worked at a corporate law firm in New York. Then she completed 2 distinct years of AmeriCorps in Chicago. During her first year of AmeriCorps, she worked with immigrant youth who were detained by the U.S. government. During her second year of service, she lived and worked with men and women with developmental disabilities in an international community. Nhu completed her undergraduate studies at Boston College, where she majored in Christian theology and Western philosophy. She looks forward to talking with you all about her experiences at HDS. And next to Nhu is Ilona Gerbacker. Ilona is a second-year Master of MTS student with a concentration in Islamic law. She has worked as an undergraduate research fellow and Waingro Honor Scholar at UCLA, where she has undertaken research into the role of women in comparative Jewish and Islamic jurisprudence. Her work on women in Islamic law has been published in the UCLA Journal of Research in the Humanities and has been presented at local, national, and international academic conferences. She was invited to present this research to Congress in April of 2011, where she addressed the joint houses and the vice president. She spent the first part of this past summer presenting her research on Arab women in American cinema in Qatar, and later worked as a research assistant and blogger at the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C. Currently, Ilona works as a researcher at the Harvard Women's Studies in Religion program and the University Outreach Coordinator at the Islamic Society of Boston Cultural Center. She is thrilled to be working as an admissions ambassador at HDS and looks forward being a resource for our wonderful prospective students. So, Ilona. So those are our wonderful students. And so we will start with Tim Whelsky and then sort of move down the line.
Okay. Thank you, Maritza. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Tim Whelsky. I'm Assistant Dean for Student Affairs here at the Divinity School. It's a pleasure to be with you all today speaking about community life on our campus. If you haven't found out already, just let you know this is an incredibly dynamic, engaged, supportive, diverse, rich environment for students to grow and to learn and engage with one another around some, many important issues going on in the world. So we want to make sure we give them all the time they can to speak, and so you can hear from them. But just to give you a little bit of a sense of what we offer here, part of my job is to try to provide a rich series of opportunities for students to engage outside of the classroom. I think that starts with orientation, which we conduct, which is really very thorough and rigorous and teach you, everything you would want to know about this place. And then some. And then once you're here, we do an awful lot of programming, more so than you could ever attend and wish to attend. A lot of that is directed by our students, organically, through their interests and their engagement and their activism in creating opportunities for our community. So even though we're a small student body here, we have not that many students, 320 to 340 students or so. They're very engaged. We have about 43 student organizations right now. They represent many different religious traditions, practices, but also identities and causes and interests for our students. So if you have an interest, you can create some community around it and really make some good things happen. And we try to support that. Also, we have a very active student government here called Life Together, and it's called the Student Association, and they try not to be too hierarchical, more a representative body, but they facilitate engagement and representation of a lot of our students on many important committees, faculty searches, and other important appointments on campus so that our students have a strong voice in what goes on here. That's really crucial. Likewise, they conduct 2 town halls each semester. We're having one next Tuesday so that students can get together with faculty and staff and talk about really crucial, essential issues to the school. And they also put on some fun social events too. and I work with them to assist that. We also provide some sources of funding for students so they can put on events and programs, workshops, conferences, and such. And every week I hold a community tea Tuesdays from 3:30 to 5:15, where we can all just get together, socialize, relax, and also share engagements and what's going on in the community. The other half of what I also try to provide is some support to students who are not engaged or are experiencing difficulty or have life circumstances that interrupt what they're doing and need some support, connection, guidance, and referral to other resources. We have academic help, writing help, coaching, learning specialists who help our students define their best strategies and help them really hone their craft of being good scholars and help them succeed. So we try to provide that support too. And of course I work really closely with my colleagues here at the table and beyond, and also a lot of other students to just come up with whatever is needed on a year-to-year basis, and we have a lot of exciting opportunities. So please make the most use of your time here and talk to our students. Thanks.
So I'll be brief as well, because I want you to hear from our wonderful students here. You got a little tantalizing glimpse of what they're up to, and they're just representative of their colleagues who are engaged in equally interesting things. My name is Kerry Maloney. I serve as the Director of Religious and Spiritual Life, the chaplain for the Divinity School, and that means I get to do the very best job in the whole place. I get to run around and follow all the wonderful spiritual and religious communities of practice that rise up on our campus, and there are many, and every year there are more. Some of them are represented in the student organizations to which Tim referred, and some are in the process of trying to form themselves and will become student organizations. So we have great religious diversity here on campus and plenty of opportunities to practice. And if you don't find what you are looking for here, as Tim said, you announce that, you gather others who want to join with you, and you make it happen. It's a small enough community and malleable enough that you can really leave your fingerprints here, and that's a really beautiful piece of our life together. So my office oversees, or helps Tim work with these groups, and I go to a lot of their events and their practices and so forth. We also gather once a week across our religious traditions and differences in noon service every Wednesday. It's hosted by a different tradition represented on the campus every week, but there is a community of students who help me oversee it, and we open and close with some standard ritual and promises. How many of you were there today for noon service? So those promises that we make to one another at the beginning, we make those promises every week to be with each other across our differences, to listen respectfully, to enter what we can, and to withhold ourselves from the things that we can't participate in conscience, but to know that you're all welcome to do that, and we'll be there in love and in wonder together. We take that very seriously here, and I think it's one of the few places in the country that is working on that. We are not perfect. We have all kinds of problems with that and many other things in our life here, but it's a really unique and powerful opportunity to live into the religious diversity, not just in this community, but in this country and in this world. And I think we can learn from each other and export that. And we have a lot to learn still, but we're trying. So that happens. There are denominational and tradition-based counselors for people who are here looking for ordination or authorization in a particular tradition. The Office of Ministry Studies employs 13 people from different traditions who can help you meet those requirements. There are also available in the university 38 different chaplains from different traditions who work at the university but not for Harvard. They are working with a group of colleagues that they call themselves the Harvard chaplains, and you can find everything, every tradition represented there, from Zoroastrianism to Baha'i and everything in between. So if you don't find it here at the Divinity School, we'll hook you up with folks in the yard. And of course, Harvard, Cambridge, and Boston are profoundly rich and active places to not only study religion, but also to practice it and engage it. And so you can find lots of colleagues and companions, some of whom you might never have met in other places, right here in these cities. So that's a little bit of what we do. I'm having open office hours at 4 o'clock, as you see in the schedule. If you want to learn more, particularly about my office, we do a lot of other things as well. Specifically, joining Tim and Maritza in helping people through difficult times, but also accompanying you through joyful times. And we provide referral and companionship and so forth. So come and talk with us, and we'd be happy to welcome you. We'll have cheese and crackers for you too, in case we haven't said you enough already today.
So, hi, my name is Ilona Gerbacker. I'm a second-year MTS, and my focus is in Islamic studies. First of all, happy post-election day. It's also the first snow, so I think the very skies themselves, are approving of our decision. And I'm very, very happy to be here. If somebody had told me 2 years ago, as I was sitting, I think, like right in that corner, that I would be a DivX panelist, I would have absolutely said never, not going to happen, but I'm here, and it's a miracle. And it's hard for me to tamp down my enthusiasm, especially because these last couple months have probably been the best months of my life. I mean, really, like my second year, it just out of this world awesome. I'm doing all of my research in Arabic. My Arabic has gotten to a level that's like I'm a professional scholar doing scholarship in the language of my field. It's an out of this world feeling. I love my professors. Like literally, my Arabic professor just spent half an hour with me. She didn't have to in her office hours discussing the elections in Arabic just to help me with my other Arabic class, just because she's nice. And she was like, people don't have to take my class next semester, but you have to take my class next semester. And it's like that. My other professor, she was like, we don't want to lose you here. Don't do your PhD anywhere else. They're just they become your friends and sometimes your family. So it's hard for me to really focus on what particular aspect of HDS makes it wonderful for me, because kind of it's all really amazing right now. Today, at this moment, I really could not be happier. Tim spoke a little bit about being a resource for people who are struggling. And I have to tell you that last year, I was definitely not in the place where I was now. Socially, I hadn't found myself. Academically, I hadn't found myself. I think like a lot of us, I just didn't feel good enough for Harvard. Like there's this mystique that the school has. Oh my God, am I smart enough to be at Harvard? Am I smart enough? No. I don't know if I'm smart enough to be at Harvard, but I know that I'm doing good work, and I know that I have good friends, and I know that there are 3 people here, all of whom sitting on the panel, who kind of told me that over and over again. Kerry I came to at the beginning of this year when I was really struggling socially. How do you make friends at a place where everyone's so busy? And she sat me down. And she gave me all this amazing advice, like better than my mom would probably. And I took it, and oh my God, I have friends now, and it's and it's really been a blessing. Being here has been a blessing. In Arabic we say barakat Allah. Barakat Allah, like the blessings of God upon these people. It's and alaykum upon you also. I'm blessed to be here, and my experience has been a blessing and a joy. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Nhu. I'm also a second-year MTS student. I prepared something, but now I'm like, I don't even want to read it. But I will say that this panel is just just a little bit of what life is here, and so it's just so important to reach out to people, and you can come and talk to me if you want, because it's so hard to learn about Harvard in an hour, in a day, and no one could have sat me down and said this is what Harvard's like. And I don't think I got it until after first semester, what life was here is like and what this place is really about. But I'm going to talk about kind of the student groups I'm involved in and how that has made community for me. The Catholic group here, we're not the largest group at HDS, but we have made community in an amazing way. Professor Clooney is a Jesuit priest, and about 3 times a semester we have Mass at the Jesuit residence, which is down the street. And it was one of the most amazing things that I went to my first semester here. I really needed Mass with Professor Clooney, and we just sat in a circle in his house, and we had dinner afterwards, and it was just lovely. And another group here that has really helped me out is Catholic Renewal, which is a student group founded by and for women concerning issues of women in the church, and that can range from ordination, and right now we're kind of focused on Catholic lay theologians who are women and their position in the academy. And so we have various interests and whatnot, but we had a potluck a few weeks ago, and that was also very lovely. Last year, we started a Catholic prayer group because we just felt like we needed to get together and pray. And we started that, and it's on Tuesdays, and we also just sit and pray together, and it's really wonderful. And so you kind of get the sense that if you have a need or feel like you want to get together with people, like it's very, very possible. I'm also part of the Asian Student Association. We also just get together and eat. I feel like this is like a theme in my life. It's also very lovely. We're like on Saturday we're having movie night, and so it's just like ways to create community outside of the classroom. Another organization that I'm very excited about that we just started, Ilana's a part of it a few months ago, is the Interfaith Caucus for Worker Justice. One of our peers interned with the Interfaith Worker Justice this summer and felt like he needed to bring these workers' issues to Harvard, to HDS, and to the greater Boston community. But I will emphasize that even though like kind of my focus in terms of my denomination has been Catholic, there's just so much here. And I will say that I began being interested in comparative theology here, and I don't think that would have happened anywhere else. And that was mostly through Professor Clooney, but in a way that I think that the depth in which people approach their faith academically and personally here is really, really amazing. And so I think it's great. And I'll just briefly talk about another part of my experience here that's been great is working, work-life balance. I've had like a million jobs at Harvard. I just like take them on all the time. But right now I have 2 work-study positions, one at a nonprofit in the square that does stuff with education consulting in public school districts. And another one, I'm a research assistant for a professor, and he's writing a book on human rights and theology, and I get to read his manuscripts. And that's just like an example of how you can build community with your professors. And it's really, really amazing because I email him like all the time. And right now, I'm in the process of applying to PhD programs. And kind of the resources that professors have been offering me is really amazing. People do want you to succeed. And I don't think the name, like Ilona said, the name Harvard should in any way, shape, or form scare you. I think a lot of it's about asking for help, but I think there's always help. I mean, like if you want, there's always help here. I've also worked at Gutman Library, which is the School of Ed library. I've also worked in the University Development Office. I've worked in academic affairs at HDS. And I think it's just a great way to kind of expand your network and like find out what the university is doing, but like ways to meet people and kind of extend your social circles, but also like to break up the monotony of studying and kind of get out and like file some papers or do some research or whatnot. So again, I mean that was really brief, but I'll just say like this panel is just like a little bit of what life is like here, and it's so immense and it's so deep. And I will also repeat that my first year here, I think I had a hard time adjusting because, again, no one could have explained to me what Harvard was like. But I do think that after I kind of like found myself and like how I fit into the space, that my second year has been really amazing. I'm just so excited about what I'm researching and so excited about my peers. And I mean, I applied to various programs. They were all so different. I mean, you're looking at programs that are so different from one another. Like Yale is not like Harvard, GTU isn't like Yale, like Duke isn't like Vanderbilt. You know, like they're all really different. And you have to ask yourself, like, how do I fit in this place? And how will this place support me? And those are really big questions. But I do think that there's just a lot of possibility here, and I think that's really exciting. So again, thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shelley Brown, and I'm a second year MDiv student. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about Harvard Divinity School first coming in was the fact it was also something I had to get used to. And to be very honest, everyone was so warm and fuzzy and huggy, and even just the language of just fostering a safe space, you know, where you can be lightly held. And even when you want to disagree with someone, well, let me politely push back on that. And that's something, if you do come, you will totally understand what we mean by pushback. And if I might. So for me, it was something that I first had to get used to. I said, my gosh, I am not used to, in an academic setting, being able to be so open about my faith, especially coming from the world of science, just being so open about my faith, my religion, being able to speak with my professors about the fact that, oh, well, this even happened just earlier this afternoon where I said, well, I'm preaching this weekend to one of my professors. Is it okay if I might just have a little bit extra time on this particular assignment, because I want to give the assignment its due diligence, but also I really wanted to give my sermon its due diligence. And within 5 minutes, my professor said, well, I just want you to know I'm praying for you. That is wonderful that you have an opportunity to preach, and sure, go ahead, just hand it in when you're done, you know. And it's just a really warm and wonderful place. So I really can say that even in the midst of, and it's great to hear other people say that too, where the second year is this year of just progress and success, and not that the first year is just you're down in the dumps, but it does take an adjustment. So, you know, in order to also be honest and open with you all as you prepare and decide amongst different places. Yeah, your first year, you just remember just not to be discouraged. This is a place where you really can get involved in different communities, where they have the resources. One of the things that I did when I felt like, oh wow, I'm moving to the New England area, Boston is different, Harvard is different, Harvard Divinity School, if you at all feel like there are some changes and transitions that you need to make, one of the things that I did, I joined Inspire. So Inspire is wonderful. It's a wonderful musical group, and I have been a part of it since the very beginning. We get a chance to sing with one another. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, last year was its very first year, and we had a study break during finals called a Revive All, and it just was a wonderful time where so many people that were a part of the group, but everybody, I also found out that everybody is like talented outside of just being academically smart. Like, people have produced albums, they have beautiful voices, they dance, they sing, they do poetry, everything. So we really got a chance to get together at this one particular, study or finals break finals break session, where we got a chance just to get together and share together in song, in worship, and in praise, no matter what the particular faith or tradition or background you're from. So that is one big thing that has really helped me in terms of just integrating myself into the community, feeling that I am a part of things, feeling as though I'm just totally welcomed and just really integrated into the HDS community. Another thing that I really, really appreciated was the fact that from an academic standpoint, which also really impacts how you feel, in terms of fitting in somewhere, is that the minute that I was even just thinking about applying to Harvard Divinity, I went to a Theological Education Day, kind of similar to this at the University of Chicago, and they had a few different schools there, and I went there honestly just for Harvard, and Harvard is actually the only place that I applied to, and I knew that this was the place to come to, but I didn't realize that they were actually hiring a faculty member as the professor of science and religion. So as soon as I came, he immediately became my advisor, and now I have been able to explore the opportunities of science ministry. That's something that only Harvard Divinity, and I can really stand on that and be very confident in saying that only Harvard Divinity would have the foresight and just the vision to allow someone like me to come here and flourish and not feel as though, well, I have to be in one specific tradition, in one specific track, and I can really explore how to bring together multiple parts of my being. And Harvard is the place for it. So I am currently advised by the professor of science and religion, and I'm currently actually pursuing scientific research alongside my studies, and they have given me the opportunity to be able to get credit for it towards my degree, and just really be able to theologically reflect on things that I not only learn within the classroom, but that are external to the classroom, external to the realm of Harvard Divinity School. And it's just, it's unbelievable. I really do appreciate it. So that's another wonderful thing about Harvard Divinity. And also in terms of personal life, I'll go back to that as well. Tim Whelsky mentioned orientation and how you get the ins and outs, above, below, around, everything about Harvard Divinity. And I got the opportunity to be an orientation leader this past year. And I too was sitting, I believe, in this area as well. I never thought I'd be on a panel, never thought I would be a student orientation group leader, and it ended up being a wonderful experience as well. So we really are honest in saying that this is a very welcoming community, very supportive, and they really will let you be yourself, have your own voice, will allow you to create any type of student organization that you want. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's also a student organization meeting as well. So it's really been a wonderful experience, and I wouldn't have picked anywhere else, very honestly with you. So thank you very much.
How's everyone doing today? Welcome to Harvard. Welcome to Harvard Divinity School. My name is Willie Bodrick II, and I am a second-year Master of Divinity candidate here at Harvard Divinity School. I love this school. I think you can see why. We have great people in administration. We have even better people that are students. Every one of these people I've gotten to know in some form or fashion and engaged with, and I think that's the thing that Harvard presents, is diversity. I think for me, that's what I wanted. It wasn't to get doctrine, but rather the diversity to be in a community where I could engage with not just conversations, but with friendships, and understand other people, and really get an image of what our world is really like, and truly like. And I think Harvard does that for me, and I hope it does it for everyone here if you actually engage in this community. As I try to say that denominations are not boundaries here at Harvard, but rather greater opportunities for conversations and community. And I think that's kind of sums up what we're doing here. We're doing great work. I'm being honed as an academic. I appreciate my professors really like, Willie, go back and do that, or Willie, and almost to the point where I'm like, how did he know that? Or how does she know that? And really push me to be a better academic, but also a better person, and being just as supportive of my ministry that I do as the papers that I write, and being supportive in all aspects of my life. I run a nonprofit now, and the support that I've gotten from Harvard has been bar none, and I appreciate that. People actually believing that it can happen. When we know that 99% of small businesses don't make it. But people actually believing in your dreams, believing that these things can actually happen, and being able to say, look, I know somebody that can help you do this, or I know someone that can help you do that. Those little things that you don't expect to get at Harvard because of its mystique is here. The loving community is real. It's not just a front that we're putting up for this weekend for you guys to come here and be like, yeah, we're gonna be hugging. No, every single day you will find some snacks on the table out there. You'll get a smile from Kerry. You'll get a hug. But those things help. They help so much so, and it debunks and deconstructs the notions that we have about the Harvard mystique. That it's this hard-pressed place where people don't really engage with each other. They don't like each other. Everybody's on their focus to do their own thing, and it's like, no, it's not like that at all. Like, Harvard is a beautiful community in which people do love and care for each other, but also push each other and challenge each other. And I think that's what makes us, the best place in the country to be at, especially at the university as well as at the Divinity School. And I think, in me personally, my first year, as everyone else, you're trying to find location. Where do you fit in this community? How do you find yourself? What do I do? How do I come to understand and engage and not be offensive, but also establish my voice as well? And I think that's that searching and seeking, it makes you a better person, but also it's kind of aided, and I think the orientation kind of runs after it says a catalyst for us to step to being more involved in helping you make that transition a lot easier. And so I've been very grateful to be here at Harvard Divinity School. My second year, I have a lot on my plate, like so many others. But but you get people like I got to meet Shelley. She's a doctor. I'm like, why you back in school? But to actually engage in conversations that will be worthwhile, that will help you formulate your future. This is what I do for a living. I'm not just in school anymore. And I think that's a decision that I had to come to. Where do I want to do where do I want to be to actually help me prepare me for my future and for my career and for the ministry that I'll be doing for the rest of my life. And I suggest that you come here. I looked at other places, but I was stuck between Harvard and Yale, and I ended up coming to Harvard. And I'm very, very, very grateful that I am here. And I've gotten to able to be active in the community in Boston. I mean, it's just so many opportunities. I can't say enough about what this school presents to its students, and also what this city presents to its students, for you to actually actively engage in the work that you want to do, whatever it may be. It's possible here, and I hope that you enjoy. I hope that this is an influential time, and the words that we say actually influence or help to kind of give you shape what your perspectives on Harvard, and give you some sense of what we do here and how we operate here, and let you know that this is a place where you can succeed. Every student, every voice counts. There are no stupid questions. Trust, there are no stupid questions, and people push those boundaries. And I think that's what learning is about, actually pushing those boundaries and coming to an understanding. So I'm glad that you all are here. I hope that we say something that will help you, and I'm telling you, I'm an open book, and I'm pretty sure everyone else is. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. As you can see why we're so excited about our students, because this is really a small, they represent sort of the wider, they're just our students, our community is so rich and wonderful. So I'm just grateful that they were willing to come and share with you today. We have a few minutes for questions, so I want to open up for questions now, either for us or for our students. Please, I open the floor. We answered all your questions. We were so thorough. Yes.
I guess anybody, probably you or Mr. Whelsky. Fraternal sorority organizations here on campus, are they existent for master's students?
They do not exist here at Harvard. Actually, Harvard has a policy over about local autonomy and local authority, so there are technically no nationally affiliated organizations here.
Can we speak on that just in terms of certain students are a part of graduate chapters? I'm not sure which particular fraternity you're a part of, but I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and we have an Omega Psi Phi brother
Yes,
as well here.
I'm Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
So there are definitely opportunities if you're interested in getting involved in a graduate chapter involvement, but not necessarily just specifically tied to Harvard Divinity.
Did I?
Yes.
Yes.
My question was to you: how do you balance nonprofit, being a college pastor, and being a student?
I'm joking. I think that's something I'm coming to understand now. I think it's been a part of my growth process, being able to try to find and strike that balance. You make the most of all your time. That's really what you do, and I've come to find an even greater respect for pastors and the work that they do, and being in these positions. But also, my nonprofit is my field study, so which actually kind of helps me out a lot. So I'm able to kind of bring it into balance and to bring everything into perspective. But it is a lot. However, I believe I can do all things through Christ. For me personally, and that motivates me to do what I need to do. I've always been busy. I played football in college, so I'm kind of used to having a strenuous schedule. So I've been pretty much prepared for this, but I can honestly say that sometimes it does seem a little heavy at times. But I try to keep myself healthy. Be in groups like Inspire and get to sing, and lay back. then go grab tea with Miss Kerry, with Miss Maloney. I'm sorry, with Kerry, but just do things that actually just relax. So find those times to actually relax and just do you. And then when it's time to do work, do work. I think becoming an adult, you're a junior, right? So you come to find yourself, but you realize you have things to do and you have to do them. And I'm coming to realize, I can't waste time like I did when I was in undergrad sometimes, and I did, and you find that, you have to, assert yourself in many ways, and I feel like there's a greater responsibility, so I don't mind kind of putting a little more on my plate to get those things done.
Great.
No problem.
Yes.
Maybe a quick administrative question and then a question for the students. What's the average age for enrollees in the program?
Yes, the average age is 26, and the range, I believe, is it runs from 21, 22 to 62.
Okay. And then to the students, maybe, what groups would you say are maybe underrepresented faith groups versus overrepresented? I'm just curious, your perception or how you felt.
So I can briefly, so I'm in Islamic studies. I'm Jewish, but I'm very academically interested in Islam. Last year I didn't feel like there were a lot of Muslim students at the school. It was something that really bothered me. And I went to Maritza with it. No, I did. I really, I talked to her about it. I was like, it's really weird being in Islamic studies and not doing it with any Muslim students by my side. And there was a big effort on the part of the administration. They really took the suggestions, and I'm sure it came from other people, really seriously. This year, there's a wonderful, very strong Muslim community. I'm so happy about it. I had there's a fair number, I think, of Jews and Muslims, and I'm very happy with the way that the communities look now.
Someone else want to address that?
I should have known this, but I wasn't sure. Harvard's a very diverse place, but you're right. Maybe some groups are more represented than others, and so I think for me, personally, I think there is a particular Unitarian influence, and I don't think it in a way overshadows other groups or whatnot. But I think because this is a seminary for Unitarians, that they, and for example, not for Catholics, obviously, they do have a particular influence. With a particular historical groundedness in the Unitarian Church.
So, yeah, go ahead. I would like to just say, add to what Nhu has so wonderfully talked about here, is that this isn't a divinity school exclusively for Unitarian Universalists. It's that if you are a Unitarian Universalist and you are looking to be ordained, this is one of several places that you will be encouraged to attend. And obviously, because of the historic connections of the Unitarian movement coming out of Boston and out of this school many years ago, and we have a professor of Unitarian Universalist Studies and all that, this is one of the places you can come and do that and be encouraged by your denomination. So that's an important point to make. But I think there are, and it depends on the people we accept, but then the people who accept our acceptance, the numbers wax and wane, and there are groups that are often in the numeric minority here among us that are not in the numeric minority in the world at large. And we're working with Maritza and the admissions team here. They're doing a beautiful job of trying to make sure that that disparity is lessened as each year goes by. But it really depends on who accepts our acceptance as well as who applies. And who will apply here also depends on what we look like when you get here. So it's a problem that either goes from strength to strength or weakness to weakness. So the more that we can get people from different traditions to come, and the more offerings that we have for courses and so forth, the stronger it is and more attractive it is as an opportunity to bring people of different traditions. So right now, in the numeric minority on our Divinity School campus, though not necessarily at the university at large, students who would affiliate as Hindus are relatively small in number in our midst right now, although they gather for practice. Quakers, we've occasionally had a very strong group of Quakers, and last year we had 2, and they kind of quit. We're just going to go to Quaker meetings here in Cambridge, and we're not going to try and organize things on campus. But if anybody wants to do that again, we have plenty of opportunity to make that happen. So, you know, it really depends on what the class looks like from year to year.
That, I was going to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No, you covered it. That's great. Yes.
Can you talk about telltale signs in a personal statement that indicate to you it's not the right fit?
That's
Not
it.
by way of insider information, by way of, if I phrase it the opposite way, what is a good fit for the school? It's too generic, it doesn't really,
So one of the things that we look for in a personal, in a statement of purpose, we actually call it a statement of purpose because it's the place where you get to tell us what you've done, sort of how you're academically and professionally, what you're hoping to do, and how HDS fits into that, how we're going to, and so when we're reading the statement of purpose, one of the things that we look for is that you understand the kind of school we are, the pluralistic environment that you would be entering, the flexibility of the curriculum, and so because it is flexible for all our programs, that you have some idea of how you're going to navigate that you have, it's not that it's a plan set in stone and that you can't change, but that you have a direction, that you're sort of, and that you know how HDS and the university as a whole is going to provide you the resources and the classes that you need to fulfill what you're hoping to accomplish. And so those are the things that we're looking for in the statement of purpose. If we don't see that, if it's more of a generic statement that, you know, you submitted maybe to other schools like Yale and Vanderbilt, we can tell that. And then what that tells us is that you don't really understand where you're applying and that maybe we wouldn't be a good fit for you because you didn't sort of address the things that makes us Harvard Divinity School.
And I think it's important to say here, we are so thrilled that you're considering Harvard Divinity School. As you can tell, we are delighted, and we would love to have you come and leave your fingerprints all over us. That would be awesome. And this might not be everybody's cup of tea, and if you know that you need a school that is going to be exclusively, for instance, in your tradition, if you are an Episcopalian or an Anglican and you really want to be profoundly formed in that tradition, almost not to the exclusion of all others, but with a very clear focus, then the Episcopal Divinity School might be a place that you really want to consider, do you know? Or if you are looking for a Jewish community to study in, Hebrew College here in the BTI is a beautiful, enriched place, or Hebrew Union College, or JTS, or any number of such places. What I'm saying is that other schools have many powerful things to recommend them. And if that's what you're attracted to, do look at that. Harvard Divinity School has other obvious things to recommend it, as well as opportunities to go very deep in your own tradition. I really hasten to underline that. That's very important. In some ways, I think it's even easier or more necessary to go deep into your own tradition in a place that has many traditions, because it's not a given. We don't share a common language, and so we ask you to really think critically and hard about why you proclaim what you proclaim. And as you bring that up against conversations with people who are studying Islam and who happen also to be Jewish, or people who are evangelical Christians, or, you know, name it, it sharpens your own identity because it's rubbing up against some other identities. So that's important to say. So we might not be we are not the school for everybody, but we are the school for many people. So just important that you know that.
How often is there cross-pollination between the different schools within the Harvard campus, specifically like studying specifically, theoretically, if I wanted to study in the ed school and the divinity school? Does that happen, or is it?
It does. Last year I took a class at the law school, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Revitalizing Urban American Cities with Professor Charles Ogletree. And that's another thing I forgot to talk about. But you have the opportunity to take classes at every school here at Harvard, whether it's the ed school, law school, K school, business school. You know, you have those opportunities, and I think most people would definitely utilize them. I think most students here actually utilize those opportunities to get take a class at the K school on nonprofit management, or to take a law school class. Some people have various interests and want to be able to kind of formulate their own type of studies, and I think Harvard gives you that liberty to do that. I think it's a beautiful thing and a beautiful opportunity. If you're gracious enough to come join us, we would love to have you, and you should definitely take advantage of all those opportunities.
I would say a large percentage of our students cross-register within Harvard University, with other professional schools and the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, as well as the BTI, the Boston Theological Institute, which is a consortium of schools here in the Boston metro area. And so our students take advantage of that, and it's part of the reason why they come. But it's also a part of, because there is so much to choose from, because of the flexibility of the curriculum, because you have so many options, it also takes someone to take initiative. And so I think it's important to say that the students that are successful here and are able to use their resources and take advantage of it are those that are very proactive, seek out opportunities, knock on doors, email professors, are not hesitant to, if it takes more than once, to email professor, call them, wait at their door. It takes that kind of proaction and initiative to take advantage of everything that Harvard has to offer. And so those are the students that are very successful here.
I heard one of our students who would fit that bill say not long ago that you have to be a bit of an intellectual and spiritual entrepreneur at Harvard in the university, because it is its own, not just city, it's a country. It's its own civilization. And so you just have to enter it and be a full citizen of it and use your passport to get around.
Yeah, and that's very true. Once you become a student at Harvard Divinity, you really are a student of Harvard. And I know my second semester, I took 2 classes actually in the policy school, and I have now actually integrated myself very much so into the science and technology and society network there at the Kennedy School of Government. And it really did just take emailing your professors and showing interest, no matter whether they're the director of this, the department chair of that. You really just have to take that initiative. But I also noticed that cross-registering for it was very seamless, very easy, and you were able to get certain arts and ministry and certain distribution categories, certain requirements that are necessary for the program to count for those classes that you take. So I definitely found it to be really refreshing, where you really have this, it's like a kid in a candy shop, where you really can say, well, hey, I think I want to take a class at the law school, and it applies to something that I want to do not only within my tradition, but also expanding and intersecting, a couple of different things. School of Ed, definitely very possible. So I can speak from experience.
And just, something that I experienced. So last night we got to pick our courses for the spring semester, which is my last semester here. What you realize is, you might not want to cross-register. The courses offered here are really, I have 6 courses that I might audit. I'm just and they're all from the div school. So, I can only speak to Islamic studies, but the quality of the faculty and the classes at the div school is unmatched. And you might really, if you find that thing that you love and that person that you love studying it with, you might not want to cross-register.
Thank you. So one more question? Last question? Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. If you can please join me in thanking our panelists.